And that surprise contraction in the first quarter of 2025 in the US economy that Tom Petrovsky was just talking about coincides with the first 100 days of Donald Trump's presidency. Joining me live now is US Democrat Congressman Joe Courtney. Congressman, welcome to the program. First to this news that the US GDP has shrunk by 0.3%, a sharp slowdown from the fourth quarter, which was 2.4%. That was the rate then, and much worse than economists projected. What's your reaction to that? And is a US recession likely, in your opinion?
So definitely the warning signals have been up really since Inauguration Day, which, I mean, it's quite striking if you look at things like the Consumer Confidence Index, which, again, started to plummet really almost from day one of the administration. The other index, which I think is very significant, is the Economic Uncertainty Index, which the St. Louis Reserve Bank has always calculated, and it shot up, which is a bad thing, again, starting on January 20th. The tariff policy, which, again, people saw was really going to unfold really with the first announcements on Inauguration Day, his State of the Union address to Congress, and then obviously the rollout, I think has just rippled through Main Street of our economy in terms of people's retirement accounts and the job layoffs, which, again, one of your announcers mentioned, was also a really significant warning flag. We certainly see it with the federal workforce, where the administration just indiscriminately started laying people off from jobs. But it's now really spilling into the private sector, where, again, tariff uncertainty is really now starting to hinder hiring and investment decisions. So he owns this, despite any sort of feeble attempt to try and sort of blame it in terms of policies that preceded the swearing in. I mean, he takes pride in the fact that he has these high impact announcements, considers himself really the master in command of the economy. And the problem is that, now he has to really live with these decisions, which, again, certainly as a member of Congress, we're hearing about from our constituents in the local economy.
Donald Trump has confirmed that he is aware the Australian government has been trying to contact him to discuss trade, but said he is yet to take our Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's call. Why do you think Donald Trump is keeping our Prime Minister on hold?
Honestly, it has been so hard to sort of get any clarity or insight in terms of who he's talking to at all. I mean, he's been claiming that he's been talking to China, and the Chinese government has just completely dismissed the fact that there's been any communication of any meaning in terms of their leadership. And, the Japanese government, which was in Washington, went to a meeting which ended up, total flop, because there was really just no position on the U.S. side that they could really respond to. So honestly, it just the erratic performance around this whole tariff deal-making aspect of his claimed policy, I think, is just, I don't think Australia should feel really that they're alone here. It's been just one country after another that has really struggled in terms of trying to get a coherent, clear picture of who to talk to and what the U.S. Policy actually really is in terms of trying to make a deal.
A reported surge in nationalism following Donald Trump's rhetoric against Canada propelled Mark Carney's Liberals to another 4 years. We have an election here in Australia this weekend where political analysts suggest Donald Trump is helping our centre of left government here as well. Can I get your take on that?
I mean, I'm really not on the ground, so I'm not going to really speculate too much. I would say in Canada's case, where Trump has been, to this day, still expressing a desire to make that country the 51st state, as I think as unwelcome as his tariff policies have been in Australia, at least, he hasn't gotten that far in terms of really insulting people's national identity. And but again, I think the ramifications of his policies in terms of creating domestic political problems for governments who, have to negotiate with this administration is very widespread. And I would just assume that people are not happy about that. And who benefits from that, again, I'm going to sort of step back. I'm in enough bar fights as it is, so I'm not going to speculate on Saturday's election.
Sure. Well, Congressman, it's really great to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Great. Thanks, Kenny.